Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with the Future. Tonight, wrestling managers and forgettable gimmicks. And we got a hell of a panel tonight. We got some return guests, and we've got a newbie. And actually, the newbie is a return guest in his own right. But coming back for this episode, as we promised you, Captain Decapitate. How are you, Captain?
Oh, I'm doing good. Glad to be back.
Our return guest, technically a return guest, but really first timer, Charlie Norris, WCW NWA. Charlie, we fought to have you on the show the first.
Yes.
You remember that night? Oh man,
Yes. Yeah.
that was a hell of a night, Amelia.
Yes, it was.
Well,
Technical difficulties, but we got him back. Absolutely.
I am super jacked to have you back. We're going to talk about something tonight.
Yeah.
Especially, Charlie, near and dear to your heart, wrestling managers and forgettable gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hell yeah.
but I can't do this show unless and until I introduce the better half of this show. We call her affectionately the Pitbull. She is Amelia Pitbull Chapman. Hello, Amelia. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Look at me.
How's everyone tonight?
I'm gonna give you a kiss.
Good.
There you go. All right. So let's talk. When last we left off, we were talking about the role of the manager,
Yes.
female managers versus male, how managers now are becoming increasingly more physical, getting involved in matches. We've seen that play out once in a while, in the old school days.
And now more
like
in the future.
today. Now it's a regular thing.
Absolutely, it
I'm
is.
going to go right to Charlie Norris on this one.
All right.
Charlie, are you a fan of managers involving themselves physically in matches?
Well, if they're like Bobby Heenan, I mean, yeah, hell yeah, he was a great wrestler in the ring, and he's really underrated as a wrestler. But guys like him that know how to do it, not in favor of Percy Pringle getting body slammed or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
that's
someone that knows how to.
You know what, Charlie? That's a really, really interesting point you brought up. We remember that those you and I, Charlie, and the captain. Those of us old enough to remember, Bobby Heenan before he was a manager was a full-bore wrestler.
Yeah, great
on
one,
wrestler.
Too. Great,
and
right?
So
yeah.
he could take bumps and he can, he could fling himself around.
Yeah.
We had a woman on the show last week, a female manager. She weighs maybe all of 110 pounds soaking wet. And for me, and this is just for me, it's hard for me to buy her as intimidating or in some way imposing in a match. Because, she just looks like, the wind could carry her away. That's a problem, Captain. With regard to believability, is it even worth risking the believability factor of a show or of a character to have a young thin woman get involved physically in a match?
But it's tough to say. It depends on the character. I mean, sometimes they don't have to be physically intimidating. If they're intimidating looking, they can cause enough confusion just being in the ring. They don't have to necessarily get physical.
Captain, I'm going to give you and Charlie the perfect example of what you just said. The late China. China was a female bodybuilder. She didn't have to do shit but stand there.
All right.
Yeah.
Her arms were bigger than your head. She was jacked to the gills. And she didn't have to do anything but look intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though, Charlie. When China got involved in wrestling, what's the first thing they did? They softened her look. Good move or bad move?
Well, I mean, it was. I think her look was so great. I mean, there's no way to go but down. I don't see how you could make her look any more intimidating. I mean, well, she started kicking everybody's ass too, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, I would say like if she weighs 100 pounds, 110 pounds. Look at Jimmy Garvin's wife, who had a can of hairspray, Precious. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You know, the interesting thing, Amelia, to jump
Yes.
in on this one. The interesting thing about this is that by and large, and with a few exceptions, by and large, female managers have only occasionally thrown a cheap shot, tripped an opponent on behalf of their, you know, on of the behalf of their guy, for lack of a better word. But very little physical involvement. Who give me in your estimation and in your realm, your realm of thinking, a female manager who could get away with the physical attributes and not just have to rely on standing there looking good.
Or like Sherry Martel, like, you know, as far
Okay, yes, Sherry Martel.
She had a big
Sure.
her personality was big though too. You know?
Yeah,
Yes,
but Sherry
absolutely.
was also an ass kicking wrestler too.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Sherry
can do it
was
real
a hell of
quick,
a
and
wrestler.
then you know, especially like that, and then sometimes like, well, look at Stephanie McMahon too. Sometimes she'd come into the ring and help her, you know, Triple H,
True.
and then nobody know the difference and do it like
Yeah,
that.
well,
And
that's an interesting point too, because Stephanie's really not known, you know, as a manager, although she has.
And
But
then toward
because
the
her name
end,
is McMahon,
hmm
but here's the thing though,
hmm
because her name is McMahon, she's expected
oh
to
yeah,
wrestle.
and then toward
And
the end, Elizabeth did that
Charlie's
too.
going to have a lot to say about Vince McMahon when we get to talking about him later.
And then toward the end,
Yeah.
Elizabeth started getting involved,
Because
and nobody's
Charlie's got
expected that.
yeah, Charlie's got a Vince McMahon story to tell. In fact, Charlie's got a couple stories to tell tonight. And we're going to talk about wrestling managers that play into that and forgettable gimmicks. You know, so this show tonight's going to revolve around Charlie Norris in a lot of ways, and so of which I'm sure Charlie is grateful. But let's talk about this from the standpoint of really great managers. And I'm going to go to Captain first, and then Charlie, you jump right in after the Captain. Give me the top five, Captain, the top five, in your opinion, most memorable managers in all of wrestling.
Oh, they're all going to be old school. I told you Tuesday night. My go-to guy was Lou Albano, but you know, you got Bobby Heenan. Man, I'm at a search for names now.
Mouth of the South.
Oh
Jimmy
yeah,
Hart.
Mouth of the South. Yeah.
I got one for you, Captain. How about a guy called the Grand Wizard?
You know, you said the other night he was your favorite guy. He never. I never got him.
I'll tell you why, and maybe Charlie, you'll understand, like the essence of old school. The Grand Wizard for me was the quintessential manager because we knew what he looked like, with or without the glasses, with or without the turban on his head. His name was Ernie Roth, and he was a manager before the Grand Wizard character came up. The interesting thing is that Ernie was a businessman and not a wrestler. And that's why I think he was the perfect foil as a manager. Because when someone came after him, he did the first thing you should do, which is run like the fucking wind and get the hell out of there.
You'd get blown away by the wind. It looked like he wasn't a very big guy.
No, and that's the thing, Charlie. He was a small dude.
Yeah.
He was only like 5'4". You know, he was a small guy. He wasn't a big man at all.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he was also an older guy. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was in his
Mhm.
40s when he became the Grand Wizard.
Right.
You know, so Captain, you maybe throw a couple, one or two more in there. Old school.
Of course, Paul Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the old Bill Moody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
love that character. Wow, there's somebody the name's right on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of. I said Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the other one? Like Bobby Heenan.
How about Classy Freddie Blassie?
Blassie, that's it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Blassie.
it.
I couldn't think of that name.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably Lou Albano was my favorite. Probably Blassie was my second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, jump in, brother.
Well, you're talking old school. I mean,
Uh-oh. Where'd
Uh-oh.
Charlie go?
Oh,
the old school. The first one I was familiar with when I studied old tapes was Gorgeous George's. I think it was a guy first. Then it was his wife. I think a woman after that.
It was Mrs. Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Patricia
Wagner. They got a lot of heat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Good, you know. That was a really good gimmick, man.
Yeah, Patricia Wagner, Mrs. Gorgeous George was his manager,
Mm-hmm.
and valet. Interestingly, we have a friend of the show named Seth Witz. His uncle, Charlie, was Gorgeous George's manager and valet. The guy that came out with the gold bobby pins.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. He's a friend of our show.
yeah.
Seth
Okay,
Witz.
cool.
Yeah, great guy. So let's talk about some other names from maybe the past 15, 20 years that stand out as like quintessential manager types.
Wow.
Could be WWF, WCW, NWA, AWA. We're not going to limit it to one federation for sure.
Right.
Man, that's hard. That's a hard one because there ain't been that many last 15, 20 years, I don't think, has there?
yeah, they've tried to pretty much do away with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Just off the top of my head, I can think of. I'll go old school. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wild Red Berry. Al Costello from the Kangaroos became
Yeah.
right. He became a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Got Grand Wizard. You got Arnold Skoland. Let's not forget Arnold Skoland was Bruno Sammartino's manager.
Yeah.
Gary Hart.
You had Elizabeth. Here's one for you, Elizabeth. Okay.
Yeah.
And Gary Hart.
You got the Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hart. Johnny's Valiant from the Valiant Brothers became the manager of the Samoans for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
After the captain. People, and a lot of people forget that. That Mr. Fuji was a manager.
Oh yes.
I
That's
forgot
right.
about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know,
So you got
there
Paul
were
Ellering.
guys. And see, the other thing too, Charlie, and you know this because you lived it, is a lot of the older workers who couldn't work anymore, the promoters would keep them employed by hiring them as managers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Adnan El Casey when he managed Guards up there.
A perfect example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was always going to get involved. He was always going to get involved in a dang match.
Oh,
It made
Sheik Adnan, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Here's one for you. I'll go old school with you. Bobby Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Davis was the manager of Buddy Rogers. You know? Here's another one probably none of you remember. Pepper Gomez.
I know Pepper Gold, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
He was a wrestler. Was he a manager?
He sure was. Yes, sir.
Okay.
He was a wrestler and manager, Pepper Gomez. Yes, sir. Yeah, see, Charlie knows because he wrestled in that Southwest area He wrestled in Texas, Oklahoma.
AWA right here. I grew up watching Pepper Gomez here in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
AWA, yeah, he was here. He had an iron stomach or something.
Yeah. Well, the big thing was, Charlie, is that he worked. I think he worked for it might have been either Dick the Bruiser or the Crusher. I think Minnesota was the Crusher or the Bruiser.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
So I think Pepper actually worked for Crusher's territory for a while. You know?
He was a wrestler here. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's somebody just trying. Listen to this shit. Look at this. Is that you, Vince Russo? You got old. No, it's not Vince Russo.
Russo never looked that good.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Right?
Somebody want to know if I'm Vince Russo? No, Vince. I know Vince. He's a good friend of mine. I know Vince. Well. Great guy. And he's been on our show a couple of
Jim Cornette.
Yeah, Jim Cornette. That's another one.
That's another one that people forget about. So obvious. But let's go with the
Gary Hart.
There you go, Colonel Robert Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Colonel Robert Parker, right? Robert Fuller.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Robert Fuller. People forget WCW. Colonel Robert Parker.
Yeah.
Now, tied into these managers in many of their cases, and this is where Charlie Nars is going to come in, were some really forgettable gimmicks. So, Charlie, let's talk about bad gimmicks, and we'll go around the horn. But after you're done, the Cap, you'll jump in. Talk about some
forgettable gimmicks. I didn't like the Red Rooster. That was kind of a rib, I think, on Terry Taylor.
It was.
Oh, goodness. That was horrible.
That was, Charlie, you mentioned the perfect person, Terry Taylor, who is one amazing wrestler.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Could wrestle your balls off, right?
Hell yeah.
I don't know who he pissed off or what he said.
Everybody.
Man, they made his life a miserable living hell for 2 years.
They used to book him when he was booked somewhere. They'd, like if he says he's going to Denver to Chicago, he'd go through Salt Lake City, North Dakota, Ohio. They fucked with him a lot, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of heat he had, So
yeah, and I don't know why. He always seemed like a really great guy.
Yeah.
He always seemed like he could, work, really work.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand, here you go. You mentioned a rib. A lot of people thought Vince McMahon, who we'll talk about, they said that Vince, was trying to show Dusty Rhodes who was boss, and he gave him that polka dot gimmick. What was that all about? Yeah, what was that all about, Charles? You were around during that period. What was going on?
Well, I was just breaking in then, and they gave him that little lady manager, Sapphire.
Oh, yeah.
They said that the rumor was Dusty didn't like black people. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, someone told me that on the inside. Well, Grizzly Smith told me that. And, so, I mean, they gave him something, and Dusty told Dustin, me and Dustin used to travel a lot together, and he said, they're going to give me a gimmick, and I'm going to get it over. They try to, they didn't think that he'd get over with it. So,
yeah. You know what? I got to tell you something. And I'm not, Grizzly Smith, rest in peace, he's dead, but I'm not going to, dispute what he said. But I will say this, though. I find it extremely hard to believe that Dusty Rhodes was a racist in any way, shape, or form.
I never heard
because he was so over with the black community.
Yeah. The jive.
Oh, yeah.
donated money to the black community. A
the
lot
black
of money.
folks loved him, man. They loved him.
Oh my God, are you shitting me? He
If
was
you ever watch
over like Rover.
The Thunderbolt Patterson, I mean, he copied a lot of Thunderbolt's their moves, grooving around.
Yeah.
And he copied a lot of Bolt stuff. And
yeah.
Dusty was just, man, I love Dusty Rhodes, man.
Well, let me ask you a question. You mentioned Thunderbolt Patterson. If a wrestler, and we've talked about this before, if a wrestler steals another guy's moves, it's gimmick infringement, right?
No, it's just Dusty was the booker. Dusty was the main eventer down here in Florida, and all down through there. And he did. I don't know if Bolt was ever a main eventer like Dusty. So I just think he still put his jive. He's his movements and all his whatever he's doing. I've seen a lot of that in Thunderbolt. When he was working back on some of them. Just whatever he did, But Dusty is another. Like, I loved him when I was a kid. He hired me in WCW, and I love Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that because I was going to go there. You had a job because of Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty and Ole Anderson. Yep.
Yeah. Ole, there's a guy talk about. You love him or you hate him. Ole was one of those guys. You can only take him or leave him. There's no middle ground with Ole.
No. I got along good with Ole. I got along good with him because I understood him. All the guys here, he recruited a lot of guys here in Minnesota. He walked into the bar one night, and Eddie Sharkey was the bartender.
Oh, my
God.
God.
Warlord, Barry Darso, the Road Warriors. I'm forgetting Nord the Barbarian. They're all working at Rick Root at this bar. And Ole walked in and he said, all you guys, I'm going to bring it on to Atlanta next week. And, these guys were barely out of camp, just barely. They're green. So he did. He brought all of them down there and hired all of them. Ole was grumpy and he was gruff. But I knew Ole. I made him laugh actually a couple times, So.
Well, the thing about Ole is you knew right as soon as he opened his mouth, you knew where he stood.
Yeah.
He liked you. He liked you. He didn't. There was no.
He didn't like ass kissers or stooges and all that.
No. Oh my God.
No.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit later about an incident that happened with Ole and actually a guy that we lost not too long ago, but Paul Orndorff.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Charlie?
Somewhat, yeah. Paul's a friend of mine. Yeah, I love Paul, man. Good.
Yeah. Captain, your gimmick, this Captain Decapitate. It's an interesting. First of all, the visual is incredible. We talked last week about how people, love pirates and they don't like clowns.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Don't you dare show that again. Oh God.
Now, this is Captain Decapitate.
Oh my God.
Acting in a film. Captain, what's the name of this movie?
Oh my God.
That was MILFs versus Zombies.
Oh, MILFs versus Zombies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was my first movie I ever did.
Charlie, I gotta get you a copy of that movie, MILFs versus Zombies.
Do not send me a picture of that thing.
Amelia.
What?
What's the matter, kid? Why are you covering your face?
I'm scared of clowns. Thank you.
There's something about this picture that's just she can't look at it.
I do not like clowns. I'm scared of clowns.
Great. I think it's fucking hilarious, to be honest with you.
Amelia, I'm responsible for all this. I sent this to him last night.
Yeah.
I was going through it and I found it and I thought you'd enjoy it.
It's great. I love it.
Right through somebody, man. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, you're gonna be walking the plank.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was funny.
Charlie, I have up on the screen right now. I have a little something you and I were talking about. It says here, Charlie sued WCW for racial stereotyping of Native Americans as quote unquote Indians. Let's talk about what happened since Eric Bischoff already violated the the do not tell order. So it's out there and everybody's talking about it. Conrad Thompson's talking about it. So what happened, Charlie?
Well, there, the general public out there, and say like the Washington Redskins, the natives don't like how we see little children mocking Native Americans and going, ooh, it ain't their fault. They're not being malicious, or that's just the public's educated about us.
Right.
From TV, whatever, we're being an Indian, go dance and go war hoop or whatever. We're savages.
Yeah.
So, they were trying to tell me how to be an Indian, and I'm a real Indian. I'm Red Lake, Chippewa, and it's like you can't tell me how to be an Indian. I'm an Indian, man. An Indian don't dance out of anger; we dance out of celebration. I couldn't get that point across. I wanted to be just like Wahoo. I don't have to dance all over the damn place, and a little bit here and there to get the fire in the crowd going and stuff. Yeah, they expected that, so.
Charlie, can I ask you a question? Because you mentioned the guy that everybody looks up to, Wahoo McDaniel.
Oh man,
you and I are both. You and I are very dear friends with Karen McDaniel.
Yes.
Karen is a dear friend of mine. I know she's a dear friend of yours. She's been on the show many times. Talked about Wahoo. Wahoo, as I understand it, would not allow someone to put him in that box and fought against it. But here's the question I want to ask you. Because he was Wahoo McDaniel and he had a lot of stroke in the business, do you think that's why they didn't give him any shit and they gave you a bunch of crap?
Well, Wahoo was a big draw. If you're on the Wahoo, you're gonna make money. And no, he didn't have to do that. He was a football player. I mean, a great athlete. I mean, fans, man. I don't know if you guys know who Jim Thorpe is. He was a Native American.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like him and Wahoo are in that class of athletes. And
absolutely.
You don't tell Wahoo what to do or anything. He knows what to do, and you're not going to tell him. He didn't dance that much. He didn't dance that much there. So.
No, as opposed to and I really want to get your opinion on this one. And Amelia, I'm going to go to you on this. Somebody like Wahoo McDaniel, as opposed to someone like Chief Jay Strongbow. Offer some opinions on this. Amelia?
For me? Oh, I thought you were talking to Charlie.
No, I said Amelia. Your name's Amelia.
That clown scared her. She can't talk.
I know, right? I'm still like,
I was going to say that clown scared the fuck out of her.
I know. I'm still like,
You're still staring there blank. I'm like,
what?
Can she hear me? Did her microphone go out?
Well,
What do you think of somebody like Wahoo McDaniel as opposed to like Chief Jay Strongbow?
Well, I think I think he was more down to earth. Wahoo McDaniel was more down to earth and more talented. I think to me he was because my dad loved Wahoo McDaniel. We'd always go see him wrestle, and my dad was just like in awe of him. And my dad, anytime the Wahoo McDaniel, my dad was like, "We're going to the wrestling matches, period."
Wahoo was
no matter what.
Wahoo was more aggressive in the ring,
Yes.
Yeah.
And my dad, that's when my dad was like into it more. He's like, that's how my dad introduced me into wrestling because that was I remember that was one of the first matches I watched. And I was only 4 years old. And I remember that.
The fact that Chief Jay Strongbow wasn't even an Indian, a Native American, he was Italian.
Yeah, he was more of a wannabe actually because he thought that's how he would draw a crowd.
Yeah.
And I think it was more an investment to
and what a lot of people don't know is that and Leon Barfield just pointed that out. Leon, Strongbow was Italian. The problem is that the Native American community was really upset and pissed off, quite frankly, over Jay Strongbow playing a Native American because they all knew the jig was up. He was not Native; he was Italian. How do you endear yourself then, Charlie, or even Captain?
He looked like Ironized Cody with the hook nose. Like he did look like that guy.
Right.
And so I thought he was a real Indian. I didn't know that. Someone told me. Oh, Eddie Turkey told me that he's Italian.
I want you guys to see something. I'm gonna turn sideways. I want you to see something.
Okay.
You see that nose?
There
That's an
you go.
Italian hook nose.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, in my culture, this is called a Caesarean nose because Julius Caesar had a big fucking honker like this. Okay? But now, Captain, why would the Native American community, who really aren't being jilted or swayed or made fun of in any way, really, why would they be angry at, Jay Strongbow, this so-called, they used to call him this wooden Indian? Why would they be offended? Is there anything to take offense to?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was amazed when I was younger, and I found out that he wasn't Indian. And for me, that just ruined the whole, just ruined the whole thing.
Exactly.
In fact, one time, because his name was Joe Scarpa, right?
Joe Scarpa. Yep.
Yeah. He was doing a show here in town, and I had found out that he was Italian. That was his name, and he was in the match, and it was a slow part during the match. It was, like all the high flying stuff that you have now. It was a headlock or something. And he was looking at me, and I said, something like, "Snap it, neck, Joe," and he looked right up.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk about my favorite, one of my favorite subjects. Forgettable gimmicks, really bad gimmicks. Charlie, you've been around a long time. What's the worst gimmick you've ever been asked to either play or have witnessed?
Well, I was a natural gimmick, so I was never asked to do anything else. But I think when Nash was first started out down there, I don't know what his name was, Oz or something.
Oh my God, yeah, Oz. He was. He was Oz, and then Vinny. What was it? Vinny Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was. Vinny Vegas.
Yeah.
But Oz
was crazy. It's funny, like Captain. How about you? Worst gimmick you ever?
Well, you talked about him. You talked about him before, and I think it had to be McMahon has something with the whole family, because I've never liked the polka dotted Dusty Rhodes. I've never liked
Gold Dust.
I've never liked Stardust.
Yeah.
And to venture off a little bit, man, I'm afraid this move back with Cody Rhodes back to WWE, we're going to see Stardust 2 somewhere down the road.
I don't think so. Cody's calling the shots now. I think he's got power now. He didn't have power there before.
Can I tell you guys what's up? I'm going to break kayfabe. I'm going to tell you what's up because I got a little heads up here. Vince McMahon owns Starrcade. He owns the Great American Bash. He owns a lot of things that Dusty created.
Oh, wow.
For Cody to get control and power of those things that his father created, Cody basically made a deal with the devil. He's in for a while. He's going to do what he's got to do. Then he's going to leave again. Then he's going to go back to AEW, the company he helped create.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
It's about money.
A straight shoot.
It was about money, too.
A lot of money, brother. Yeah. A lot of money.
he couldn't. Tony Khan kept blowing him off, and I think Cody. I think he did everything there that he could do there. It's time, and it's good for the world too. That there's no way he'll ever go back there and all this.
I think it's great what he did for the wrestling community.
Oh hell yeah!
Going back to the WWE was the best career move he could make.
Yeah.
Because he just solidified his legacy.
Yeah.
And more importantly, his father's legacy. Okay? Vince McMahon was going to shit all over Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
The fans were not going to let that happen, and Dustin and Cody were not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Cody's doing a A&E biography about his dad, and he's got full control over that too. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, he should have.
Captain, worst gimmick.
Oh boy, like I said, those three come to mind. There's probably certainly not the worst gimmick I've ever seen. Oh, I know. What was the? Oh heck. Isaac Yankem, the dentist.
My God, the evil dentist, Dr. Isaac Yankem.
Yeah.
Glenn Jacobs, by the way, Kane.
Yeah.
Dr. Isaac Yankem. I'll tell you my personal all-time shitty gimmick, and you can't argue with this one. Wild Bill Irwin as the Goon. The fucking Goon. A hockey playing wrestler? A hockey player wrestler? I was waiting for the roller derby wrestler next. What kind of fucking gimmick that would be? You know? Crazy stuff.
Bill is a good worker. He's a pretty solid mid-card guy, good guy,
I thought to myself, who came up with this shit?
Yeah.
It's because it's got Bruce Pritchard written all over it.
Oh,
and Bruce is a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Were it not for his brother, Bruce wouldn't have a job. Because Dr. Tom Pritchard was a great guy.
Oh, hell yeah. Was a great guy? Is he still alive?
Oh, no, he's still alive. Yeah, he's still around. Leon says, worst gimmicks. Oz, the Shockmaster, the Mummy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? And you're absolutely the Shockmaster. Let's talk about him. Charlie, were you there when they opened up the Shockmaster to the world?
He tripped on a stage coming out.
Yes, he did.
Guys were rolling on the floor, man. And I had to team up. Well, the guy in the pay-per-view, he was my tag team partner. Me, him, and Ice Train. So I was the Indian. Shockmaster was the construction worker. Ice Train was the brother or whatever. They were calling the Too Cold Scorpio colors the Village People. I was like,
oh no!
Oh my God, that's fucking great.
That's awful.
The Shockmaster, for those of you who don't know, was Fred Ottman, who became known as Tugboat.
Yeah.
In the WWF.
Oh yeah.
That was that. Also, by the way, Fred Ottman was related to Dusty Rhodes. He was his
brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. Yes, thank you. I know there was a family connection there. Yeah, brother-in-law. Interesting stuff, isn't it?
Look how many times Mick Foley's character changed.
Well, now it gets time to ask Amelia the $1 million question for you. Worst for you. Give me 3 of the worst gimmicks in your opinion.
Well, Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, for one.
Okay, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, why would they have to change his character? I mean, really, and then things like that. I mean, and then,
I'll tell you a little story about that.
Okay.
I'll tell you a little story about that. Brutus Beefcake was over like Rover doing that Chippendale gimmick. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He showed up to a pay-per-view. He was supposed to wrestle Lanny Poffo. Well, he did wrestle Lanny Poffo. Right? He goes to the show. Pat Patterson, the late Pat Patterson, hands him a smock and a pair of scissors. He goes, "Now you're the barber." He said, "What do you mean I'm the barber? What barber of what? What am I the barber of?" He said, "You are Brutus the Barber, Beefcake." Okay. Now, everything that he worked for was out the window.
Exactly.
Now, all of a sudden, he's got to play this barber gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he wrestles, he's got to cut somebody's hair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do that, and it's going to get old real quick.
Exactly.
So Brutus said, "How am I going to make this work?" Here's what he did. He cut the guy's hair every 5 or 6 weeks, once in a while, so it wouldn't get old. And what he did was he got himself over as the barber during that time.
It didn't hurt being Hogan's best friend either.
Say again?
It didn't hurt him that he was Hogan's best friend either. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He and Terry and Ed, they were roomies for a long time. They started out together.
Yeah.
Out there in Florida.
Yeah.
They used to go see wrestling together at the Homer Esterly Armory.
Yep.
You remember that place?
No, I think we lost this.
Can you
Referee Joey Lynn is in the. Hey, Joey, glad you're here. I got a question for you, Joey. Worst gimmick you ever saw? Indies, pro, big time, anything. Worst gimmick. So we'll see what Joey's got to say about that. Who else, Amelia?
Let's see. Standpoints here, I would think. Let's see. Well, let's see who else was I had in mind. Mick Foley. Yeah. How many times do we have him change different characters? Especially that Sacco thing. I didn't really like that Sacco thing.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Really?
Just on that one. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because Mick Foley was like a chameleon when it came to those characters. He could turn Dude Love and Mankind and Cactus Jack on and off like a light bulb.
I loved Cactus Jack, though. That was my favorite one of his. Though.
Good.
I loved Cactus Jack.
Think how many dolls you can sell in shirts.
Yeah. Charlie, where'd you
Cactus
go?
Jack was my favorite.
I can't find you on here.
I think your camera disappeared on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite was Cactus Jack, big time. That was my favorite one.
Yeah.
His was Cactus Jack.
You can touch nothing. I don't know. You guys got a storm out there, you said, huh? You can't see it, right?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Charlie. We can hear you, and that's okay, too. As long as you're here, as long as we can hear you.
Yeah. I think that one was, and then that one, and then pretty much I think that's the only two that I can think of so far, but I know there was another one, but
yeah. So, Captain, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How do you take a bad gimmick and get it over?
Oh boy, I don't know.
You work the indies, right? So you see a lot of bad gimmicks all the time.
Yeah.
How do you
boy,
take
I
a
don't.
bad gimmick and get it over.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. About the only way I can answer that is, man, going into professional wrestling as a pirate. I'm not sure that was the to begin with. I'm not sure that was the ultimate best gimmick to use. But you work with it, and you take being called Jack Sparrow and
right. You know what got you over? The costume.
Well, I think it was
I think the
yeah, I
fact
think
that
because of the universal appeal of pirates.
Yeah, I think because of the fact that you have an authentic wardrobe that looks great. The fact, here's another thing that people forget. The fact that you are an older gentleman who can pull it off. You've got the white hair, the white beard, the white mustache. You can pull it off because it looks authentic. Because you've got to be a person of a certain age to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, even though real pirates probably didn't live much into their 30s.
True.
You know, some of them died old, but most of them died young. But a funny story about that is, having been Captain Mango before and doing a lot of concerts and stuff, you know, I hear all the time from guys, "Oh man, I'm going to get a pirate costume. You know, it looks like fun." Well, there was a guy that got one, and what he didn't realize was, and he was pretty much an asshole personality.
Yeah.
When he put the pirate outfit on, he was just an asshole dressed up like a pirate.
Like a
You
pirate.
gotta have the personality to go with it. You
I
know.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Jack-
persona, the walk, everything, the
The guy
Yeah,
was
attitude.
an
you know,
asshole. Now he's an asshole dressed like a pirate.
That's it. And it's funny. I just saw him on Facebook. He's going to be at a. I don't want to say where because you'll know who I'm talking about then. But he's going to be at a pirate festival, and he's still. It's you know he basically just got a Halloween costume. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Our friend Leon in the chat room says Memphis had Tommy Gilbert as Freddy Krueger and Doug Gilbert as Jason. What do you make of that shit?
Oh hell. Well, them guys could work though too. It would be different. But I never was. They had some bad gimmicks there. Man, horrible.
Yeah, but how do you take a good worker and in the case of the Gilbert family, great workers,
Yeah.
and throw a shit gimmick like Freddy Krueger and Jason on them? Like, where does that even come from?
I don't know, man. I don't know. They tried everything. Well, One Man Gang, he was Crusher Broomfield when he first started there.
Yeah, and remember, One Man Gang also became.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hakeem.
Yeah,
Hakeem,
the
that's
Dream.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, Hakeem the Dream for sure. Don't ask me how the gang did it, but he got that fucking gimmick over.
Yeah, he didn't have.
I don't know how.
He didn't have no warning of that either. Just
No,
on, got it over. He didn't know how to dance. Yeah.
no, they just threw that shit on him one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did the same thing with Brutus Beefcake with the barber gimmick.
Yeah.
He's a Chippendale dancer one day, and he's a friggin' barber the next. Really? Like who comes up with this shit? We're gonna take a look at a little film clip here of the life of Charlie Norris.
Uh-oh, I can't see it.
Oh.
Well, trust me, you're looking good, brother.
Okay.
The first photo was Native American dress. Fall Brawl. It's Charlie Norris versus Big Sky.
Yeah.
Why was that match so memorable, and why do people always point to that match as like a big deal?
Well, Big Sky hadn't worked in like over a year. You know, it was my first pay-per-view. The guy's 7 feet tall. I couldn't understand why, put me with Bobby Eaton or somebody, man, But I hit him with my scissor kick at the end. I don't know how I got my leg up there, but I nailed him hard. So
yeah,
that's what the people got. But yeah, it was my first pay-per-view. But you can't do that much with a guy that big, and he
right.
Great guy. It wasn't his fault,
Yeah. We're looking at Eric Bischoff. We've already talked about that.
I hit him pretty hard at that scissor kick that time, and that was I was new to the people, and but yeah, that was my first one. That's why it sticks out. That was another bad gimmick, Big Sky. He didn't care. He's a movie star now, I guess.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get over?
I was over right away down there because when I got the TV down there, I wanted to get some kind of Indian name. I wanted like Crazy Bear or something, Charlie Bear, something with an Indian thing, because Charlie Norris ain't an Indian name, and they said, well, let's just see how it goes for a while. And I was over around there because of the Braves, because of the chop, they would start doing the chop when I came out. So I got over really good, and I worked with Max Payne on TV. And that really pushed me too. I had a couple of matches with him on TV, and that got me going. And I was at the house shows. I started getting over a little bit, but I wish we had a more of an Indian name. Charlie Norris is not like my Indian name is White Thunderbird, but something like I don't know what kind of like I don't know, man. It was like it didn't click,
We're looking at a photo of you and our mutual friend Sam Michael Houston.
Yeah. Which one is that?
Talk to me about the Renegades.
Oh, the Renegades.
Where did that come from?
Well, I came up with the name, and I worked with Sam in my first WWF tryout in Macon and Savannah, Georgia. I was only in the business 9 months, and I got a tryout. I wasn't, but Sam took care of me in there, and we looked really a lot like brothers back then. People were looking at us, are you guys brothers? And
you do,
like,
you really do favor each other.
Yeah. So and then we just, I went down to, it just would start teaming up on the indie circuit and at casinos and stuff, and we started getting over as a team. And he was, he was a good worker, and he'd sell, and I'd come in and get the hot tag, and boom, boom, boom. So we went all over we went overseas together, and just independence. We'd work Texas, Louisiana, all down there, Mississippi.
Did you ever work with Tatanka, Chris?
No, I met him for the first time, and all those WWF tryouts I had, we never met. I'm like, geez, I want to, go up and say something to him, but I was a threat to his job or something. I pitched the idea to Sarge. I said, why don't we, I've never been a heel. Why don't we do this? Here's the idea, Sarge. I mean, it ain't, we don't have to do it. I mean, but pitch it to Vince, I said, how about if I come in there as a rich casino owner now, and we're going to buy back all the land you guys stole from us? And it's never been done. I don't know if it would have been a heel or I would have been a babyface on the, Indian country, but, I don't know how that would have been. I probably would have needed someone else with the mic skills, but, what a real dressed up, really nice Indian guy, and, really nice with, I'm going to buy back all the land. Now we own casinos.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at an interesting picture right now. You're wearing the Native American headdress.
Yeah.
And Sam is wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah, with Cowboy and Indian team.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why didn't you just call yourselves the Cowboys and Indians?
Well, we were kind of Cowboys and Indians, but Renegades kind of like you're kind of a rebel. I like that rebel thing, and we saw a lot of pictures, man. We saw a lot of pictures of us, and.
Oh, I know you did too, brother.
Yeah, and I like to change up my ring gear once. I had all kinds of different stuff. So absolutely. I can't see the pictures you're showing, so you got to tell me.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload it to your Facebook so you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up there so you can see it.
I don't know what I did. I just lost you guys somehow.
Oh no.
And that's okay. Look, we still have your voice here, so
all right.
That's okay. Well, it's not a total loss.
I like what you said though. Never let go of your dreams. Reach for the stars.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wish I had that picture. I was gonna share it when I was 7 years old. I had a picture of me with I made a title belt out of those little plastic sleds and put AWA champion on it. So I knew I was going to do this my whole life. I was going to do it. I don't know how or where or when, or I just knew I was going to do it someday. And
right.
And I just had a chance meeting with Eddie Sharkey. Went to the wrestling school, and then it was threw me right in the main event, man. Like I had only trained less than a month, and I was in the ring already. So
yeah,
that was kind of scary. But I had good guys taking care of me in there.
Right.
Good guys.
Amelia, questions for the captain or for Charlie?
I had a question about the movie that you have coming up, Captain, that you said that you were going to be in.
Yeah, it's the cast were just announced today. Of course, I knew beforehand, and it's an awesome cast. The movie is called Anarchy. It's a kind of a play off Anarchy. And it's about a young girl that's just off the hinges, just out there. And I'm a war vet, and I come through town. One of my buddies owns a bar in that town, and I come through town, and we hit it off, even though I'm a whole lot older. And so the whole premise to the movie is she gonna drag me back to my old ways, or am I gonna straighten her out? And you have to see the movie to figure out what happens there. But
and once again, 70-year-old Captain gets the 24-year-old hot babe, right?
Right on, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm only supposed to be like 60 in the movie, so I might have to darken up my mustache. I still got to talk to him to see.
I got a box of Just for Men for you, Captain.
Yeah. Well, I used to up till maybe. Oh man, it was right before COVID. So a couple years ago, I used to keep my hair. My hair would be. This has been snow white since I've been like 30 years old, but I never grew it. I never grew. Always had a Fu Manchu, so it was easy to get.
Yeah.
And my hair, even now, would only be, a lot of salt, but salt and pepper. It's not completely gray. And but I dyed it for a long time, and then I had a movie coming up, and they wanted me to grow out. They were going to give me a fake beard. I was going to play a homeless guy. And I said, well, let me try to grow it out. And I grew it out, and I had this really thick, snow white beard. I got rid of the beard because I got tired of people calling me Santa Claus. and so this is growing out now because I'm not sure what they're going to want for this movie. We don't start shooting until June. I suspect they're going to want me to just go back to the Fu Manchu and get a little bit darker hair.
Yeah.
So, but I'm actually great. This movie has been 3 years in the making. And it was this role was kind of written. I tell the people who connected with the movie this role is me. It's not going to be a whole lot of acting here. This is me.
Yeah, and you were saying that the last time you were here that the role was written for you with you in mind.
Yeah. So it's and this might be I'm not sure, but this might be my last starring role because I want to do more in professional wrestling, and this is going to tie me up between June and October. Is going to tie me up about 7-8 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing any producing of the movie?
Yeah, well, I'm executive producer of this movie also.
Good stuff.
Financing the movie and executive producer, and about the only thing I didn't do here was write the movie.
Oh.
Wow. Charlie, what do you got coming up, my friend? Charlie, are you there?
I think
we completely lose Charlie. His spot is still open. Charlie, are you with us? Yeah, we lost Charlie.
Oh no.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we sure did. We lost Charlie.
Oh no.
Well, Amelia, what do you got going on?
Well, just working tomorrow. A lot of other people are off, but I'll be working tomorrow. And today we had an interesting day. Our phones were.
I get to spend the day with my wife tomorrow. She's off. I get to spend
awesome. Look at you.
Yes, for a change.
I know, right? Some people are off tomorrow. I'm not.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So, you're working tomorrow. We are putting a. Oh man, we got another.
I got actually two things I'm doing tomorrow.
Week. Two great shows coming up next week. Big shows. We're doing Tuesday night, April 19th.
That's right.
Tribute to horror. We love to be scared. And we're going to talk to three of the best in the business. Three of today's hottest horror directors. And maybe a surprise or two.
You better not give me surprises.
Yeah, and I'm going to put Jesse's clown picture up again.
Yeah, you'll be walking the plank with him if you do that.
I know, right? And then on April the 26th, we've got Jeffrey Mark, the ultimate Hollywood insider. Jeffrey is an actor, writer, producer, director, performer. He is a performance artist. He's written 5 books, Lucille Ball, Ella Fitzgerald, the Three Stooges, you name it. He's written a book on them. He's an amazing guy, and he's going to be with us for about a 2-hour show. We've got Lacey J. Dalton coming up, Country Music Hall of Famer.
I love country music.
Blanche, 2-time Emmy Award winner and the writer of the Academy Awards. He will be on the show with us. And we've got, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, on April 28th, we've got the first lady of professional wrestling herself, the one, the only, the incomparable Miss Missy Hyatt. She will be with us for as long as the hell she wants to stay around. And with that in mind, for Charlie Norris, who I will contact on the phone and say, what the hell happened to you?
All right.
The captain for Jesse L. Green, the captain, decapitate. And you're always welcome back, Captain.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want me.
Thank you, my brother. And for Amelia, the Pitbull. Let's do it like Michael Buffer. The Pitbull. Oh, shit. All right. We're going to go. Have a great weekend, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.